Hi, I'm Nate Savage, and in this lesson, I'm going to teach you 5 guitar strumming patterns that you must know if you're a guitarist. Now, if you're a newer guitar player who's learned most of your open chords and feels like your strumming hand has been kind of left behind, this lesson is going to be perfect for you. The 5 strumming patterns in this lesson are very progressive, and by that I mean once you learn the first one, the second one builds off the first one, the third one builds off the second one, and so on. Now, you're likely going to be familiar with a couple of these strumming patterns in this lesson, but I would encourage you to follow along because I'm going to be giving you some tips that are going to be important for your career as a guitarist. Throughout this lesson, I'm going to be keeping the chords really simple. I'm only going to be using an E chord. That way, you can focus all of your attention on your strumming hand, getting your timing really well, and learning these patterns that I'm going to teach you. In fact, if you want to focus on your strumming hand even more, you don't even have to make any chords. You can just mute the strings like that and focus on the strumming patterns. All of the strumming patterns in this lesson are 8th note strumming patterns. So if you don't know how to count 8th notes, I'm going to go over that with you real quick. When you hear a song, most songs are in 4/4 time, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Those would be quarter notes usually. Now, to count 8th notes, all you have to do is stick an and in between each number. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you would have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the basic idea behind 8th notes. And the idea is to space out the counting, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, as evenly as possible with these strumming patterns. So as I mentioned, all of these strumming patterns are going to be 8th note based strumming patterns. So you're going to see 8th notes displayed at the bottom of the screen to help you kind of learn all 5 patterns. Let's get into this first strumming pattern, and this one may seem very simple, but it's very important. It's an all downstroke strumming pattern using 8th notes. You can tell that it's an all downstroke pattern by the little kind of upside down U symbol on each beat, each 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And like I said, this may seem really simple to you, but don't discount it. It's very important to be able to do simple things very well. I was in a studio session playing some acoustic guitar, and I had all these fancy strumming patterns lined up in my mind, and the producer said, no, just do a straight all downstroke strumming pattern, right? I did it, and it ended up sounding great, better than the stuff I had planned. It may seem easy, but this is an essential strumming pattern that's really going to help you develop your timing. So grab a metronome, put it on, or a jam track, and work on using an all downstroke strumming pattern using 8th notes. Really focus on your timing and work on keeping all the 8th notes evenly spaced. Another thing that you can work on with the strumming pattern is dynamic control. With such a simple strumming pattern, it's easy to work on getting really soft, getting a little bit louder, and getting really loud. Because as guitar players, when we get quiet, we tend to drag a little bit. And when we get louder, we tend to rush a bit. So this is a great strumming pattern to work on that too. Remember, don't just lock your wrists and strum from your elbow either. Relax, get some wrist motion in there. Almost pretend like something stuck to your finger and just trying to flick it off. Here's how you can work with this strumming pattern to help you develop your dynamics. Using a strumming pattern like this to warm up and just kind of get yourself centered and your mind focused on your timing is awesome. Now, strumming pattern number 2, believe it or not, is the exact same rhythm as strumming pattern number 1. But instead of using all downstrokes, you're going to be using down and upstrokes alternating. You can tell that we're going to be using upstrokes on every other strum because if you look at the ands, above the ands, you're going to see little arrows. Those are upstroke symbols. So the way this works out for the counting for the downstrokes and upstrokes, the numbers are going to be downstrokes. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be downstrokes. And the ands will all be upstrokes. This is an incredibly useful strumming pattern, and it's also the basis for all of the other strumming patterns we're going to learn in this lesson. Now let me just tell you, a lot of newer guitar players think that they have to hit all of the strings when they do an upstroke strum. And that's not really the case. When I do a downstroke, I generally hit all 6 strings if it's a 6-string note chord. But with my upstroke, I generally only hit like the top 3 or 4 strings. That makes it a lot easier to get that upstroke through the strings when you're doing a lot of strumming. So try this pattern, relax, don't lock your wrists, and concentrate on keeping the strumming as even as possible. So work on this pattern, get it down, make sure to practice it with a metronome or a jam track.